Changing strings on a nylon guitar can be a bit tricky because unless you buy a pack of strings with a ball end, most nylon strings are tied to the guitar. In this video, we'll learn how to change nylon strings that have no ball end. Besides a pack of strings, I recommend you have a pair of wire cutters, some nail clippers, and a string winder. You can use the wire cutters to cut off the excess string once you're done installing your new strings. The string winder helps you wind the strings faster. Unless you can use your wire cutters, the nail clippers will make it easier to cut the excess string on the bridge. Before we change a string, let's look at the contents of a pack of nylon strings. Your pack will hopefully have a legend letting you know which string is which. Nylon strings come in three main types of tension: soft, medium, and hard tension. There are pros and cons to each tension level. If you plan not to play too much, I'd recommend using soft tension strings. For casual play or practice, I recommend medium tension. Hard tension gives you a crisper, smoother action when playing, but also exerts more stress on your guitar's top and bridge. If you don't plan on playing your guitar too much, don't use hard tension strings, as they can damage your guitar's top and bridge over time. The strings themselves might also be labeled. The bass strings, which are the 6th, 5th, and 4th string, are metal wound with a nylon core. The treble strings, which are the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st string, are unwound nylon. Nylon strings without a ball end are anchored to the bridge by tying them in place. Depending on what string you're changing, the knot will differ. If you plan to change all your strings, it's okay to remove all the strings at once. To remove a string, start by loosening up the string. You can either cut the string with your wire cutters once it's loose, or you can untie the string from the headstock and then untie the string from the bridge. The bass strings have one end that is more compactly wound than the other. Tie the string to the bridge using the section that is more compactly wound. Run that end of the string through the first hole in the bridge, leaving 3 fingers length of slack. This slack will be used to tie the knot on the bridge. Run the slack behind the string towards the left and then run it under the string on the bridge. We then want that leftover slack to run over the lip of the bridge and not on top. Make sure the slack faces towards the next string. Pull both sides of the string to tighten the knot. Next, we align the tuning pegs so the holes are facing forward. Run the string through the hole from the front side of the tuning peg, leaving enough slack to tighten the string. How much slack is enough? Hold the string with one hand at the 12th fret and pull the string up 1 finger length worth. This will give you a decent amount of slack to work with. To tie the knot on the tuning peg, wrap the string around itself once. Hold that knot and begin to turn the key. Fit the string into its slot on the nut once you have enough tension. You'll use the same knots to tie the 5th and 4th string. However, there is one thing to consider concerning the leftover slack on the bridge. If you leave this slack as is, it'll vibrate and buzz as you play your guitar. You can either cut it off or tie it with the knot of the following string. The knot used to tie the 3rd and 2nd strings to the bridge is almost the same as the one used for the bass strings, but with one variation. Instead of wrapping the string once at the bridge, we are going to wrap it around twice. Always make sure the slack ends up behind the bridge and not on top. Because the first string is thinner, not tying it correctly to the bridge can cause it to untie and snap off. There are various ways to tie the first string securely. What I like to do is run the end twice through the bridge. I then run the string twice under and over the string like we did for the second and third string. Again, make sure the slack ends up over the lip of the bridge and not on top. Over at the tuning peg, run the string through the hole in the tuning peg from the back, not the front. We then run the end of the string over and then into the hole again. You then pull the end to tie the knot. After you're done installing your strings, tighten them to a decent tension level. You can check for tension by lightly prodding the string behind the nut. Nylon strings take longer to settle compared to steel strings. It might take 2 to 3 days before you can tune them up to standard tuning. I recommend periodically checking up on them throughout the day during those 2 to 3 days until you can tune them up to standard.